Are you a Game of Thrones fan? Have you watched the prequel series of Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, which gives you a deeper look at the historic civil war that tore House Targaryen apart and took place 200 years before the events of the GOT series? There are some facts that are not even the biggest GOT fans know about the Targaryens. Eager to know? Today on Toporo, I'll share with you 10 interesting facts about Targaryens that the House of the Dragon didn't mention. 1. Dragonstone has been their key to power. A few castles in Game of Thrones are very important, like Dragonstone, a location that is featured in House of the Dragon. Dragonstone is the ancestral home of the House of Targaryen. From the beginning of Targaryen's domination, the island was key to their power, and Aegon the Conqueror used it as a base to launch his invasion and conquer the Westeros. It was often the case that the person who controlled Dragonstone was able to build their own authority and legitimacy. Rule Dragonstone, rule all. Moreover, it was one of the places where dragons were easiest to hatch, which explains its importance. 2. They discover King's Landing. We all know King's Landing as the capital of the Seven Kingdoms, where the king or queen sit and rule on the Iron Throne. However, few of us know that it was actually found in Aegon I Targaryen when he left Dragonstone and conquered one kingdom after another. While many expected him to rule from Dragonstone, he kept an eye on then smaller town where he had first landed with his dragons and army, aptly named King's Landing. Aegon built a fortress on the highest hill there and named it Aegon Fort, ruled in his seat and oversaw the growth of the city. 3. They faced Blackfyre rebellion. One of the most interesting aspects of Targaryen's story is the civil war that nearly tore her home and Westeros apart. On his deathbed, Aegon legitimized all his illegitimate children and made them claimants to the throne. What followed was a bloody rebellion that lasted for years and cemented people's distrust of their rulers. The Blackfyre region is never mentioned in the series, which surprised book fans as there are many theories related to Blackfyre. Just as there is speculation about which characters might be secret Targaryens, many fans believe that the descendants of Blackfyre are still hiding between people and conspiring to ascend the throne. 4. They know about the Red Keep. The Red Keep is surrounded by an air of secrecy, similar to the crypts of Winterfell. Aegon I Targaryen had built the Red Keep to preserve it as a reminder of the fires in which he had roasted his enemies, so whenever King's Landing looked up, they would see what resistance might mean. Aegon's son Maegor was also so cruel, and the Red Keep was such a valuable possession of the Targaryens that when the builders finally finished building the Red Keep, Maegor had them all executed to keep his secrets. It is also said that behind the walls and under the floors of the Red Keep run miles of hidden passages. If you think this is a little mysterious and strange, think back to the time when Varys said he knew the ways of the Red Keep that only the Targaryen know. 5. They found the Kingsguard. Contrary to popular belief, the Kingsguard was not always there. It was created a long time ago, of course, but only under the reign of Aegon the Conqueror. While his conquests and burning of people attracted attention, they also attracted enemies and traitors. Aegon founded the Kingsguard, an elite group of military men who vowed to protect him with their lives from anyone. When the throne was passed on to other houses, the need for a Kingsguard remained, with Jaime serving as the leader of the Kingsguard in the first season of the show. It seemed that constant protection and isolation in Westeros is a real need if you want to sit on this mighty Iron Throne. 6. They never got sick. To some extent, the House of the Dragon had every right to consider itself about the mass of men. Aside from commanding the dragons, they were also remarkably immune to a variety of diseases, many of which affected everyone else. This was true for many of its early history, and it's no doubt explains why so many Westeros residents, especially the power-hungry nobles, so readily agreed to the idea that the Targaryens were superior. 7. Another Targaryen. Some important characters were shunned from the TV show Game of Thrones. One such character is young Griff, who is mentioned only in the books. So this is a special spoiler warning for those who haven't caught up with the books or want to read them to find out. Before Tyrion is captured by Jon Mormont, he finds himself on a ship bound by Volantis with Illyrio Mopatis, a mercenary named Griff, and his son young Griff. Tyrion, in his naturally intelligent way, sees that young Griff is extremely educated. He compared his facts to the violent eyes of young Griff and recognizes a very important truth. The young Grip is Aegon Targaryen, the same Aegon Targaryen who was allegedly killed by the Mountain during Robert's rebellion. As it turned out, Varys traded Aegon for the child of a commander and smuggled him to Essos, where he lived with Illyrio until Jon Cunnington adopted him under the mercenary identity Grift. They dyed Aegon's hair blue and taught him how to rule a kingdom as a true Targaryen. 8. Traditional looks of Targaryens. Another thing that the TV show House of the Dragon doesn't really do justice to is the way the Targaryens is supposed to look. In the books, the traditional appearance of a Targaryen is silver hair and blue eyes. We see that Daenerys has silver hair, but her eyes are very blue. The same goes for her annoying older brother Viserys, with silver hair but no blue eyes. It's a little odd that the show had abandoned the traditional looks when they included that Ned Stark only learned about Cersei and Jaime's incest through the looks of her 3 children, all blondes. Since Jon Snow is actually Aegon Targaryen and doesn't have any of the distinctive looks of Targaryen, the show may have decided to dump down the traditional Targaryen looks and features so that his identity can remain secret. Another misconception is that all Targaryens should not be harmed by fire. This is not true and is also in the books. Jon Snow was burned when he killed White Walkers. Viserys Targaryen, Daenerys' brother, was killed by having molten gold poured on his head. There are countless cases in the books where Targaryens were burned by dragons or fire. 9. Link with Dorne. Do you know the indomitable stepchild of the Targaryen, Thorne? Although Illyrio Sand showed an undeniable devotion to the cause of Daenerys, Dorne did not always stand by the Targaryens for a loss of confidence. Dorne was unconquered for about 200 years, waging war against the Targaryens and killing those who were brought there to keep the peace. Dorne eventually joined the Empire, began to exert influence that was not very much liked by the other noble houses, made marriage pacts with other houses, and eventually became the youngest nation of the 7 kingdoms and the youngest ally of the Targaryens. 10. Robert Baratheon was a Targaryen. Did you know that Robert Baratheon actually had a legitimate claim to the Iron Throne and was not an usurper? This is not really talked about in the show, but in the books, the origin of the House of Baratheon is cited as the reason why Robert had the right to be crowned king. When Ned Stark rejects the Iron Throne, he says that House Baratheon has an ancient relationship with House Targaryen. What's the point of all this confusion? Let me explain. Orys Baratheon, the founder of the House of Baratheon, was one of the greatest generals of Aegon I Targaryen and his illegitimate brother. Moreover, Robert's grandmother was his father's side was Rhael Targaryen. This makes his claim to the throne true, but does it also have something to do with Melisandre's mistake in thinking his brother Stannis Baratheon was the prince promised? She could have had the wrong Targaryen strand. So these were the 10 interesting facts that House of the Dragon missed. Which one did you find most surprising? Let me know in the comments. The video for today has concluded. We'll catch you tomorrow on Toporo. Take care and stay tuned.